Welcome back. Mastek is on our radar. The company reported a steady quarter in Q3 with a top-line growth of 1.5%. The company's margins came in at 17%, which compares with 16.1% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Now, we're now joined by the management of the company, Mr. Hiral Chandrana, on the show now. Thank you very much for joining in. First, if you could tell us the contribution of the acquisition Biz Analytica in the current quarter. What was the organic revenue growth? And even for 9 months, you've reported a constant currency revenue growth of 15.5%. What would be the organic revenue growth, and what's the outlook looking for for Q4?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So let me quickly recap our quarterly results. Our year-on-year revenue growth was roughly about 19% in rupee terms. Our EBITDA, our operating EBITDA, which we report, like you said, 17%, also grew 17.4% year-on-year. And what we're really pleased about is our order book. And we report our 12 months order book backlog, and that also grew about 21%. So all in all, we feel good about the deal momentum, the demand environment, and as we look at the future. Biz Analytica was the acquisition that you referred to. We completed, or we made that acquisition in August. We've actually fast-tracked that integration, and it's now completely part of our Mastek family as the data, cloud, and modernization business. And actually that contributed to the full quarter revenues as well. Previous quarter, we had 2 months of Biz Analytica. This quarter, we had 3 months of Biz Analytica. But for the 9 months period as a whole, the only acquisition inorganic was the Biz Analytica revenue. And so that's the 2.5 million from the previous quarter, and then the 4 million from this quarter. So that's as far as Q3 is concerned. As we look ahead, there's a few kind of interesting dynamics happening in the industry. As you know, cost is still a concern for customers. But what we are seeing more and more is that many of our clients are breaking down their initiatives into more short-term initiatives, in some cases, smaller programs, right? They're waiting to see how Gen AI, some of the disruption, will impact future applications. So that's one trend. In our particular business, we do a lot of business, as you know, with the UK public sector. They spend about 12 to 13 billion on central government, on the health, as well as on defense. That's our sweet spot. So the critical national infrastructure that we support continues to be resilient. But what we are most excited about is the whole data play. As companies have figured out, looking at Gen AI use cases, what they've realized that it's going to be a combination of data, ML, and AI. And to create large language models, the data plumbing and foundation is going to be critical. So the Biz Analytica amplification for our data cloud business with Snowflake and Databricks forms a strong foundation for some of those programs where data is moving to the cloud. So all in all, we're fairly pleased with where we are. It was a furlough quarter, so obviously seasonally weak for the industry. But as we look at Q4, which is the coming quarter here, we're looking good in terms of continuing our growth momentum.
Okay, it's good to see that the deal momentum continues and the demand trends are positive. But I wanted to understand about the margins a little bit, Mr. Chandrana. You had guided for margins between that 17 to 19% band. Are you on track to doing that? And is there visibility of continued margin expansion from here?
Yeah, so Sonia, we given that band of 17 to 19%, like you rightly said, and we feel comfortable in that band. Last quarter was a little bit of an aberration with the wage hikes. Some of the other companies did not do the wage hikes. We, wanted to stay with that commitment for our employees. But yeah, we have touched 17% this quarter. It's based on strong operational levers and leverage. So we continue to make operating model transformation changes to simplify, automate our internal systems and processes as well. As we look at the future, we're fairly confident of continuing to increase that margin profile, but we still like that band of 17 to 19% so that it allows us enough to invest in our new solutions as well as capabilities, but more importantly in our accounts. Many of our accounts have started to become 5 million, 10 million, 15 million accounts. There's one account in the US, healthcare account, which was 1 million or less than 1 million a year back, and now it's 15 million today. So we're very excited about the account mining. Some of the work that we've done in the last 18 months is paying off. So we want to participate in larger deals and larger accounts. And so that 17 to 19% band is still comfortable.
Mr. Chandrana, you spoke briefly about the UK business, right? The public work that you the government work that you do, defence, healthcare, etc. Revenues were down about 1.5% quarter on quarter. Could you tell us why and what's the outlook there? And coming off other IT companies from who we've heard recently, LTI, Mindtree, for example, told us that fourth quarter should be similar to the third quarter. You sound more optimistic, so if you could just address both those points.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Prashant. So we also have a currency play here, first of all, right? So the GBP to kind of US dollars is one factor there. The Q3 is a furlough quarter for both UK and US, as you know. But in terms of our digital business and the bulk of the work that we do for our public sector, that's actually continuing to grow well. In fact, we were recognized by the ministerial offices for helping with their, controlling the immigration, fast tracking the backlog that they had, and the work that we do for the asylum policies, as well as the Home Office, has been recognized. So we continue to see a good growth out there. I know some of the other companies have announced or mentioned about continuing furloughs. We don't see that risk. We believe that Q4 is going to be a normal, solid quarter for us as we increase the number of working days, etc. So in fact, typically Q4 happens to be a good quarter in general for us. So as we look forward in the UK public sector, what we are focused on is the policies. In fact, we talk about policy over technology, right? So many of the critical policies that we're involved in, which is biometrics, which is asylum, which is some of the departments of justice, even as we look at future, are critical policies that we're focused on.
All right, we'll let you go on that note. Have a great year. Thanks a lot for joining in, and we'll again touch base with you in the next quarter. Thanks for being with us on CNBC TV18.